There are tons of exotics in Destiny 2, over 100, and even more ways to build each and every one. But some exotics are better than others. Or are they?
Let's make a build with every single one at a time. This is Destiny Builds A to Z. So, our exotic for number 9 in our series is Armamentarium. And this reads, gain an additional grenade charge, grenade final blows, spawn, and orbit power, which will save us a mod slot in the long run, but really not all that important. The main thing is that this grants an additional grenade charge. The only thing this doesn't synergize with is being on arc with trip mines and touch of thunder. You won't get a third grenade, for example. For our subclass, we're going with Void for this build. And you can take whichever super you prefer. I've just been using the Twilight Arsenal for this build, as it seems just a little bit more convenient for killing some ranged bosses. But for our abilities, you can take whichever you prefer. I just intend to go with Rally Barricade for that shorter cooldown. The jump is also up to you, entirely your preference. I just prefer Strafe Lift. Then for our melee, we're going to go with Shield Throw, primarily because this is going to grant us Overshield every time we hit something with it, which will synergize with one of our aspects. Then, for our grenade ability, I'm going with Void Wall for larger targets, because this can reach up to around 100k damage per grenade, and we'll have 2 of them. So if you can throw 2 under a boss that's less mobile, something like Atheon in Vault of Glass, or even like Riven, for example, in Last Wish, you'll be able to get the max potential out of these grenades. Every other case, I would go with Vortex Grenade, just to make sure that you can have the highest eye clear potential, and you'll get 2 of them, which Vortex is a fantastic grenade, also has a high capability of killing targets, as I believe it reaches around 80k at base. Then, for our first aspect, we're going with Controlled Demolition, where hitting a target with a Void ability or Volatile Explosion makes them volatile. Further damage to volatile target causes them to explode, grants you and nearby allies health when volatile targets explode near you. So this is going to allow any weapon that we have with volatile rounds, or whenever we have volatile rounds, to also provide a little bit of healing at all times for us, which, with how good Volatile Rounds is right now, as well as how easy it is to get on Void, we'll get kind of little bursts of healing constantly from this. Then, for regenerating our abilities, we have Offensive Bulwark, where, while you have an Overshield or inside Ward of Dawn, your grenade charges significantly faster. You have increased melee range and damage, and melee final blows restore a small portion of your Overshield and extend its duration, synergizing with our shield from earlier. This will just make it so that we have our grenades even quicker, because we have 2 of them, so we need to be constantly thinking about how to get them back, because we'll always have something charging in the background if we're using this build correctly. Then for our fragments, Echo of Persistence, Void buffs applied to you, which is Invisibility, Overshield, and Devour, have increased duration. This will make it so that Devour is a little bit easier to upkeep, as well as our Overshields are technically just getting more health. Then, for our next fragment, we have Echo Starvation, where when we pick up a Void Breach or an Overpower, that will grant us Devour, which is our primary method of getting Devour, and also substantially our main method of healing on this build. Then we have Echo Instability. Defeating targets with grenades, which we'll have 2 of, will grant us volatile rounds to our Void weapons. So again, this is synergizing with our first aspect, and if you have volatile rounds on your weapons, it'll just feel a little bit more consistent, but you're essentially removing the need for that perk on your weapons with this. Then lastly, we have Echo of Undermining. Your Void grenades weaken targets. This is helpful because both of our grenades, which we'll be throwing constantly, will be able to weaken targets and just give us that 15% damage damage buff for us, which will make it so that we can actually kill targets that much easier with our guns, and our grenades will do that much more damage. For our weapons, you can go with whichever you prefer. However, I'm going with a Void LMG corrective measure in my case, where I have Demolitionist. This is going to be the primary trait that you're going to be looking for on all of your weapons for this build, because again, this is going to grant us that grenade energy, which is around 10% per kill, just making it feel that much more consistent to always have our grenade up. And LMG is a great choice because you'll be able to get that many more kills without having to reload, and Demolitionist also, when you throw your grenade, will reload this weapon. So especially for an LMG, you get to skip that pesky reload. For our mods, we're going to be prioritizing both our void damage output for our weapons to synergize with volatiles that we'll be getting, as well as our grenade recharge and our heavy ammo economy. So on our helmet, we're going to have a harmonic siphon mod, so both of our void weapons and our primary and our heavy slot can generate orbs. And heavy ammo finder, we're going to have 2 of those on our helmet. Then we're going to have on our arms, we're going to have a impact induction, which causing damage with a powered melee attack reduces your grenade cooldown. Then we have momentum transfer, causing damage with a grenade reduces your melee cooldown. And then we'll also have firepower, your grenade final blows create orbs of power. Even though this is already a perk on Armamentarium, what this is doing is making it so that we're bypassing the cooldown by essentially being able to generate one in half the amount of time per grenade, rather than having to deal with, basically, we're essentially saving a single mod here. Then on our chest piece, a harmonic resistance mod and an arc resistance mod. You can swap these out to whichever one you want for whatever you're facing currently. Then I also have a harmonic reserves, increase the amount of ammo you can carry for void weapons, so that our heavy ammo just has that much more. Then on our boots, we have a innervation mod where it reduces grenade cooldown each time we pick up an orb of power. That's also just helping out Devour with our grenade economy. We have 2 void weapon surges. This is going to make it so that our weapons are doing 17% increased damage as long as we have armor charge active. Then on our class item, we have a bomber mod, so that way when we use our class ability, we'll just get a little bit more of our grenade energy back. And 2 time dilation mods, so we'll have an extra 10 seconds per armor charge, essentially granting us an additional 30 seconds on our timer for our void weapon surges. So to get into the gameplay, the synergy here is really you're going to be wanting to throw your grenade, and hopefully that will get a kill for you, which the Vortex Grenade is excellent at. And then you can just start going off with your LMG, which, as you can see, we're already at halfway to our next grenade, and we have one available. So we can just chuck that out, let it kill him, get more volatile rounds, and even an orb will grant us even more, if this would stop running away from me, even more grenade ability energy. Then now that we have an overshield, we'll also get increased grenade regen. And you can see that just our grenade economy is so quick, and you'll get even more for killing higher tier targets. But the main thing is that economy there, which I didn't get to get a flag or anything. By the way, the role for this weapon here that I'm using is Demolitionist and volatile rounds. But it's just so easy to get your grenade back. Your grenade will also normally reload your LMG if you have it available. I'm using Wither Horde as just kind of a fill-in slot for my exotic. You can really go with whichever you prefer. Just found it to be a little bit more helpful. You can proc volatile rounds pretty easily there for you, because it'll allow those things to explode. You can also go with a volatile rounds repulsor brace weapon if you prefer, like in my previous video, which will allow you to get your grenade back pretty quickly because you'll constantly have that void overshield. But it's primarily meant to be using our void LMG, so that way we can get our grenade back as quickly as possible. As you can see, every time we get a kill, it just jumps right back up. We already have our next grenade, and then that'll reload our LMG as well. I unfortunately didn't sit in it long enough. That's kind of the unfortunate part of the Vortex Grenade, or really any grenade. But also getting the role I have for this LMG, where I have also Adrenaline Junkie on there, makes it so that when I do get those kills with this weapon, with my grenade, I'll get a little bit more damage on here as well, which is around 33%. But the consistency of getting your grenades is just so quick, you really don't need to think about why you're using a grenade. You can just kind of chuck it at the next enemy to keep everything in your subclass going. Okay. Expert shield dodge. but with your grenade adding damage to this LMG, you just do so much damage there. You can take out yellow bars really easily. There's lots of synergy in this going on pretty much all the time, and the free volatile rounds just feels like an extra perk on your weapon. And with all the buffs to volatile rounds, it feels very consistent. You also should be able to get your with Devour as well, helping your grenade economy. That should feel helpful. So just pretty much everything is lending itself back into getting your grenade so that you have it nearly constant. Thank you so much for making it to the end. If you enjoyed the video, liking the video helps out a boatload, and subscribe to stay a while for more builds and reviews like this one. Thank you so much for watching, and keep on building.